You don't use young people to just win a game. You use the game to win young people. This is my story. 8 games to glory. In an Oklahoma cotton field shortly after the Great Depression, my brothers and I were learning a life-changing lesson from our dad. We would race with each other, joking about who could pick the most cotton. He taught us what matters the most. It's what you have at the hang-up when the cotton's weighed that truly counts. I played sports in high school, and I made it to college because a great coach who really cared about me and helped me get a basketball scholarship at Oklahoma University, where I played for 4 years. While I was working on my master's degree, I joined the Army in 1950 and shipped off to serve in the Korean War. I became an artillery officer with the responsibility of leading men on the front lines of battle. When I returned to the U.S., I played in a professional basketball league for a year, and I took a coaching and teaching job at Cameron College. I used humor when I taught. My class became known as Uncle Ted's Story Hour. In my first year of coaching, I led our Cameron Aggies college basketball team to an undefeated season. Unfortunately, we lost the national championship in the finals. Following that season, my Cameron athletic director told me in addition to head basketball and assistant coaching football, contractually they needed me to reboot the baseball program, which had been dormant for 30 years. The reason was to provide more scholarships and opportunities for the guys and to bring in more talent for the football and the basketball programs. So I pulled together a team with 3 football players, 5 basketball players, a Golden Glove boxer, and some young men who played baseball in high school. Our diverse team included Homer Watkins, one of the first black players to play in the NJCAA, 3 Native Americans, and a group of white youngsters from farms and small towns who had never played on an integrated team before. Getting started, we had no practice field, no uniforms, we had no scholarships, and no team to scrimmage except the Army team on the military base, Fort Sill. Our startup team played really well. We had good athletes, good teamwork, and I think a pretty good coach. Well, one of the players found out the NJCAA was starting their first ever College World Series. Because of its geographic center in the U.S., it was going to be held in Miami, Oklahoma, just 6 hours away. "Coach, you got to get us in," my players pleaded. "Get us in? We haven't even played a single regular season game. You know, I love my players. I was dedicated to them, and I had faith. They wanted a shot, and I wanted to give it to them." So I got the tournament director on the phone. I said, "Dr. Carter, you asked me, well, what's your college record?" Thinking fast on my feet, I answered truthfully, "We haven't lost a college team this season." The director thought and said, "Well, I'll tell you what. If you host a regional tournament and invite the teams I give you and you win, I'll put you in the national tournament." When I told my players, they were pumped. I told them, "Well, we don't have uniforms. We don't have a baseball diamond." Someone asked, "What about the old Memorial Park?" This park was a boarded-up baseball field from Lawton's long-defunct minor league team. We go over and check out the old field, and it's awful. The fence had fallen in. The field's overgrown. Bleachers are collapsed. Weeds are everywhere. So we pulled together a group who would help. That included my friend Simon Perkins. Simon pastored an African Methodist Episcopal church. I used to loan him my car from time to time. Simon recruited some of his church to pitch in. People came together to help. In 3 days, the stadium was cleaned up, repainted, and rebuilt. The baseball diamond was ready for the action. But was my team the Aggies? I had another problem to solve: uniforms. I called up my buddy at the Army base. Turns out the Fort Sill team had just gotten new uniforms, and they were just about ready to throw away the old ones. So I called in some help, a group of women who brought their sewing machines and needles. They removed the 5th Field Artillery Battalion letters and stitched on the new letters, Aggies. The place where the old letters had been hadn't faded or worn out, so the jerseys looked like they read the 5th Field Artillery Battalion, Aggies. There weren't enough uniforms, so I wore sweats and a Cameron t-shirt. Some of the guys had Cameron college baseball caps, and some of them had to wear their own high school baseball caps. We were a pretty ragtag looking bunch. My Aggies played their hearts out, and it would be a short story if we had lost. But we didn't. The guys came together and worked like crazy. They swept all 4 games in the tournament and advanced to the upcoming national championship. So we were headed to our World Series. College had no money for lodging, only enough to fuel the 2 universities' station wagons. We didn't have a big, long convoy like in the movie Hoosiers. No one expected our team to do anything. The Lawton paper and radio station didn't even think to send a reporter. We managed to get permission to sleep in an old Army barracks on campus in Miami, Oklahoma at Northeastern, where the tournament was held. We got to town and wanted to boost morale, so I took them to a burger joint on my dime. As soon as we walked in, the cook at the counter yelled at us, "They can't eat in here. They have to eat out back," pointing to Homer and the Native Americans. So we got our food, and as a team, we all ate out back. Then we went to the movie theater, and again we were met with division. They have to sit up in the balcony seats. So we all went up in the balcony together. World Series Day. The first team we played were champions from Phoenix with a record of 60-3. Our Aggie record was 4-0, but we won. Next we played the Texas champion. It was a hard fought, but our Aggies won it again. The other team had their families in the stands cheering for them. 2 of the Native Americans on our team were from the Quapaw tribe, and the last chief of the tribe was the proud grandfather of one of our players. So we had rows of Indian families cheering for us. When push came to shove, I gave my players the leadership, the love, and the motivation they needed. In the heat of the battle, I passed on the lesson from my dad, from the hang-up in the cotton field. And in a manner like my father to his sons, I helped my team believe that all things were possible. We pulled together and we won the national championship. Me and the guys returned home with 0 fanfare, no letter jackets, no crowds. I gave them all I could at the time, some words of affirmation and a hug as a devoted coach and mentor. Years later, when we were inducted into the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame, one of the players didn't even know we had won the national championship. After 4 years at Cameron, I joined Kansas University. More than anything, I wanted to inspire greatness in my players. One became vice president of Walmart. One became commander of the Top Gun Navy School. One became dean of education at Oklahoma City University. One became a national championship baseball coach. One became an award-winning photographer for CBS News. All of them went on and earned 4-year degrees and led very successful lives.